And sometimes we think a will is for big items.
Yes.
I mean, just your cell phone
Sure.
is sufficient enough to cause war
Sure.
when you pass on. Someone wanting that iPhone to be like, hey, I've been checking it out, you know. Some people have got the attitude of saying, nah, but anyway, when I'm dead, and all of that. Let's think beyond that. There's debt.
Yeah.
You don't want to leave people with debt.
Yeah.
People living in a certain type of a lifestyle, a certain house, and all that. And the bank, they don't care.
Yeah.
They will come for that money.
Your son is in the room.
Yep.
I'm going to leave and he's going to come sit here. And I want you guys, for you to kind of speak to him about setting himself up to be the kind of man that we've been speaking about now.
Communicate more. Be more open to listening to someone that's younger or my age. Because a lot of the times it's like, you're young, what do you know?
Hey, what's up? Welcome to That Husband Podcast with me, Black Newborn. Here we are husbands who aren't where we want to be, but certainly are not where we used to be. We are imperfect, always failing forward, trying to know better so that we can do better.
Hey, what's up? What's up? Welcome to That Husband Podcast with me, Black Newborn. This is where husbands try to know better so that we can be better. Before we jump into this episode, I want to thank everybody who's been supporting us. If you are new and you don't know what's happening in these streets, please do not forget to hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so that you're updated on every single episode we drop every Wednesday at 11:30. Two ways that you can support us. One, you can buy us coffee. There's a link in our comment section. You can click on that and buy us as many coffees as your heart pleases so that we are energized to keep on making more of this content. The second way you can support us is by booking me either as a facilitator or as an MC for your next event, or you can book me as a speaker to come speak on anything pertaining theology, culture, or art, or relationships, or the intersection of those things. And you can drop us an email at booking@blacknewborn.com. That's booking@blacknewborn.com. The husband that's sitting across the table from me today, he says you must say his name properly and with much respect. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Mr. Caskey Ndaba.
That's the right way. I like it.
So we first pump here. How are
Awesome. Fantastic. I'm awesome. Thank you. You said
That's
it
good.
very well.
Thank you. I hardly say this because there's never an occasion to say it, but you're a very beautiful man.
Yeah.
You.
All right. Okay. I don't know how you respond to that, but anyway, I hear you. And thank you.
You're very well put together and you're beautiful. I just wanted to say that thank you for being here. It's certainly a pleasure to have you here, and I'm excited to just jump into the conversation
Awesome.
and speak about the thing we're going to speak about. Just before we get there, there's a book behind me that we're compiling. And we trying to help husbands who are walking alone, husbands who are despondent, or even younger men who don't believe in the institute of marriage. And so we trying to give this resource to them to say that there are husbands who are out there failing forward. They're not superheroes at all. They're not perfect, but they showing up and taking the call seriously over their lives. And so we ask our guests to help us define what a husband is. And so if you can help us with that.
Okay, wow. It's actually a very interesting one.
Yeah.
And it's a complex thing.
Sure.
Being a husband, in my view, it's actually being a purpose enabler. Okay, to your woman, to your wife, and also to your children, because being a husband doesn't just end with the wife that you married. It's also the surrounding relationships that are actually quite immediate, where you, as a husband, my responsibility is to make sure that I am there to enable the purpose of my wife and that of my kids, and then jointly as a family. And so that is actually how I would actually put that together. If I fail to do that, it's not about me. It's about an assignment that I'm actually given in order to achieve that and help them realize their purpose and live it out. And then as a husband, there are 3 G's: to guide, to guard, and to govern. And making sure that I can be able to provide the appropriate excellent level of guidance, and God making sure that there's protection. And guarding actually goes beyond the physical guarding. It's also the spiritual guard, and also making sure that there's financial guard. And nobody must go broke if ever as a husband I'm around. And I need to go out there and be resourceful. And at the same time to govern in having to provide the right level of leadership in that way. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. That's probably the most precise definition we've gotten so far. And yeah, thank you for that. It's such a great definition. What happens in the situations where, you know, a man fails in one of those G's? What would your encouragement be to them?
Let me tell you, it's not if you fail, it is when you fail, because it happens. You can never get them right. It's playing that balancing act from time to time, because at the end of the day, we are human. We just wake up there. There's no husband school or husband institution of higher learning, but we kind of pay as we go, you know, and then we give it our best shot based on the knowledge that we have from time to time and the experiences that we have from time to time. The most important thing is to be able to bounce back, reflect, correct, and move on and bounce back quickly. Yeah. Husbands, you don't have time to sulk. You don't have time to sit back and lick your wounds. You've got 3 seconds to do that. And then after that, you bounce back and then you move on.
That's great. Guys, you've heard it. We're going to put a new tag to this podcast. You have 3 seconds to bounce back. Right?
That's it.
It's not more than that. That's incredible. I think, let's probably get into what we want to chat about today. Let me set it up this way. I think it was probably a month ago.
Yep.
I got a call from a friend of mine. It was a close friend that I was friends with in high school. And so we kind of grew up together. And, you know, his mom became my mom became his mom, and we're just tight. And it didn't help that we look the same. So there's probably a story that we'll never get answers to, but so people just thought we were brothers. And so he called me, I think, a month ago. And it was one of those calls that you don't want to get, you know, and he told me that his mother had unfortunately passed away.
Ouch.
And so I was just like, man, like that's hard, you know. I told him I was going to come see him. But his mother was living with his brother in Davao. And so it gave me at least like an hour and some change to drive and think and reflect. And so when I went there, saw the family, came back, and I started reflecting on this question. You know, we at the point, by we, me and my peers, where we don't have to look to the uncles anymore when somebody passes on. We are the uncles, you know.
Yep.
I was hit with the realization that now when somebody in my family is going to get married, I need to be in those negotiating rooms. And I'm like, man, I don't even know how to negotiate buying bread. Now I need to go negotiate lobola. Now let alone having to take on the you know, strenuous task of having to plan a funeral. And so man, I was like, that's where we are. You know, a lot of guys don't realize that we are the uncles now. A lot of us don't realize that we kind of thrust into that position, and more guys at a younger age. What would you say to wake men up to that? How do we prepare young men to say it's time that the baton has been passed on? You guys need to be ready now. You're gonna get the call from Limpopo to say, hey, Boma have passed on, and it's on you now.
Yeah, no, that's actually a very interesting one, because sometimes, especially youngsters, they think that they're immortal, and also therefore looking only inward and not understanding that life is beyond themselves. You know, and therefore it's important that preparation actually takes place in time, because it's not about, if you look at it for an example with insurance, there's short-term insurance, there's long-term insurance. Short-term insurance is if something happens.
Sure.
if someone breaks into your car, if your car gets stolen. But long term is when something happens, because it's definitely going to happen. It's just that we don't know when.
Sure.
And that is why it's important as people that we make sure that we guard ourselves financially to protect our investment nest egg. Because when something happens, you don't want to now find yourself wanting. And at the end of the day, you've got that dream holiday that you've actually been saving for. You've got that house that you want to build.
Sure.
And all those dreams, you want to live a certain lifestyle. When something like that happens, you want to make sure that those things are protected. And that is why you'll find that financial services organizations, if you look at it for an example, an organization like Metropolitan, who say that we are there to guide and protect our financial dreams of our clients, for an example. And at the end of the day, it's all about saying, as a person, how can I make sure that I protect my investment nest?
Sure.
And such that at the end of the day, whenever those things happen, I can tap into something like a funeral plan to then take care of that. Why? Because I'm a responsible, I plan. And it's important as people that we think ahead. And we should not be surprised. It's like people who get surprised with January and they call it January, and then they are posting, they say, they're going to eat cabbage as if January was born this year. Every year has January. And therefore we need to plan for that. January comes. It's an issue of when it actually comes. And as young men and as men that are continue to grow up, it's important that we prepare ourselves. Even like the example you made, being an uncle, you've never done the lobola thing. And all that. It's an issue of having to make sure that we prepare ourselves so that when one of your nephews and nieces come and say, hey, Malume, it's time. You don't want to be scrounging around to try and wing it in front of the other family.
No way.
You want to create that confidence that, hey, this uncle really knows their story. Be it that it's your nephew or your niece, depending if you're paying or receiving lobola. So preparation. I come from an engineering background. Where we were taught, measure twice so that you can cut once. So preparation is key.
When you say that, everything in me screams, man, like we're struggling with that exactly as men. There's, we guys are even finding hard to define what masculinity is now. And so when you think you have to prepare, I'm like, there's probably a whole lot of other things underneath why guys don't prepare. Maybe there's fears, maybe there's insecurities, maybe there is a lack of definition on what masculinity is. And so we probably have to clear out that fog to say, as the man, as somebody who's called to lead, you need to make sure that you prepare. But what do you think are some of those fears? What are some of those things that prevent men to actually stand up and say, hey, I'm actually going to take lead and prepare for when these things happen? Because we know that they're going to happen. We know that they're going to happen. In fact, I got a call again from one of my cousins, and he was talking about us as the older males in our family now to kind of get together and start a WhatsApp group where we're going to get a funeral policy and maybe start paying money into that, And so I'm like, man, so I said to him, I commended him. It's like, that's such a commendable step for you to take. And it shows that you've grown and there's leadership that you're implementing. But then I'm like, in any other area of his life, he just moves with a lot of insecurity as a man. And so I think generally guys are just have insecurities, have fears, have a lack of definition of what a man is supposed to be. In your experience, have you seen that? Do you see that play out now? Why are a lot of guys not doing exactly that?
Yeah, it's actually a very tough one. If I can just share a personal situation. I come from a family of 7. Okay. 6 girls. And I'm the only boy. So I grew up in a female-dominated environment. And therefore, naturally, a lot of things that ladies would actually do, I understand very well. There has been a lot of times whereby I had to also now start learning how to think like a man. Because that And it's something that has never been demonstrated and modeled in front of me.
Sure.
But then it took me having to ensure that I can find ways and means of finding those male figures that will actually teach me on how to be a man. And being a man is not about the muscles. I mean, you can see I'm chubbish and no six pack and no whatever. It's not about the muscle.
Sure.
It's about the muscle up here.
Come on now.
In your mind, and making sure that you can be in a position of controlling situations, managing situations, and being able to identify risks from far and be able to deal with them. And so what I ended up doing personally was to align myself with people that I hold in high regard. You know, solid men. People who've got their marriages together, people who've got relationships together, people that are successful from a business perspective, people who are actually sitting with a progressive a set of experiences that I check in with at least once or twice a year. And I dig into those things. And therefore, for us as men, and especially it's I don't want to call it a weakness. You spoke about a situation whereby we feel not unprepared, we feel we intimidated because so much is expected from the male figure. Okay. And it doesn't mean that a male figure is a best of the species. We are all, God created all of us equally. Okay. And we carry the same level of authority, responsibility, and all that. The only thing is, as men, it becomes something that we need to take charge in having to initiate a lot of things. Okay, you must initiate. Being a leader, being the head, you must initiate things. And one of the biggest things that we need to make sure that we get right is initiating peace in an environment. So when there's been an argument and you're not okay with your significant other and whatever, you must be sitting in your high tower thinking, nah, she's the one that is wrong. And no. As a leader, you start the peace process. You initiate, you get those things done. And in making sure that we get rid of that complex of saying, oh no, I don't know what is my identity. You've got an identity of making sure that at the end of the day, you are a human being. Let's start with that identity. And as a human being, you are loaded. Everybody is loaded with energy, with power, with capabilities and skills so that you can be able to move forward. So it's all about reflecting on the internal side of who we are, because we need to live life from the inside out and not looking at circumstances that then end up defining us. A lot of confusion comes when we look around us and then we internalize what's happening on the outside. When we are supposed to look on the inside and then influence what happens around us.
On the outside, that's great. That's a great note. And I think that perspective shift will definitely help a lot of guys, because that's, most of us go to die internally. We see what's going on there. Again, influenced by what's happening outside, and then we slowly just suffocate, don't communicate, don't say anything, and that's probably like the best case scenario. The worst case scenario is guys who then explode. So they can't bear what's inside, and then unfortunately they explode. I think those are such great insights, and they lead me to thinking about how do we one, get guys to wake up, which I think you've helped us with that. But then practically, so as we're talking, I'm thinking about something like a will. I'm like, that's foreign to a lot of black guys, particularly. The first time I heard about a will, I think I was watching Generations in the 90s, maybe, right? Or some soapy, and somebody spoke of a will, and I thought wills are for rich people. Like if you're rich, sure, you need to have a will, if you're just a guy who's average, what are you leaving in the will, But we've seen over the years, a lack of wills cause a lot of drama. And it's the people that you've left behind who have to pick up the mess, Why is it important? What's a will? Why is it even important for guys to think about, drafting a will before they die?
Hey, it's actually a very important one, because it's all about going back to the issue of leaving a proper legacy, structured, being organized. Because you don't want to leave a legacy of chaos, a legacy of fights. But it's important that we must have those conversations, especially as guys. A lot of times when we meet and we get together as guys, it will be easy to speak about the rugby and we are playing finals, we are doing this, we speak about soccer, we'll speak about a whole lot of other things. But when it comes to things that matter, it's important that we enhance those conversations about financial fitness. How fit are we financially? And I'm not saying how rich are we. I say how capable are we such that we can create a legacy. I mean, if you look at it, for an example, in the Bible, it talks about that we are supposed to leave a legacy and wealth. No. It doesn't say for our kids. It says for your children's children. You know, and so when you are just leaving something for your own kids, you have done half the job.
Sure.
You must leave something sufficient enough to even overflow it to your kids' children, you know? And therefore, those conversations as guys, we need to have more of them and hold each other accountable.
Sure.
I've got accountability partners that will actually guide me spiritually, that will guide me from a career perspective. Someone will come and ask me and say, hey, Caskey, how are you doing with this thing? Are you making progress? Are you going backward? And financially, where are you? Are you sorted out? And those are the type of networks that we're actually supposed to have in that particular way. Now, coming to the issue of the will, it's about making sure that you don't leave a legacy of chaos. Everything is structured. It's put together. And sometimes we think a will is for big items.
Yes.
I mean, just your cell phone is sufficient enough to cause war when you pass on. Someone wanting that iPhone to be like, hey, I've been checking it out, you know, and now the dude is gone. Now let me actually be the one that grabs it. Those are the type of things that must be in the will. That is why you'll find financial institutions having solutions around the will. If you look at the metropolitan thing, you don't even need to be a client to be able to access some of those benefits. You know, it's more an issue of saying, you know what, I'm looking for a will and whatever. And then Metropolitan will actually help you to actually acquire that. You don't have to take a policy and things. Why? Because it's all about the value add and protecting that. And therefore, it's all about real provision, preparation. A will is that document that ensures that you as the person that whilst you are alive, you record exactly how you want your affairs taken care of. It's not just about assets. It also goes about your kids. How do you want them? Who must live with them? Sometimes there are a lot of people that are single men that are, they are the mother, they are the father, they are everything. You know, you need to define to say who must be the one that I trust that they can take care of my children when it's time that I actually have got to actually go. And those conversations must be held. And not just in passing when we are sitting, chilling, having drinks. We must subject that down in writing. That on its own, it's a will. What would I like? What do I want the people administering the will to do with things that matter to me? It's not just about money. It's not just about assets. It's about lifestyle. It's about maintenance of who you are carrying on so that your children and your significant others and people that matter to you actually have got continuity in that way.
What do we say to the guy who's like, once we start talking like this, like, I'm going to bring death in my life. I don't want to sit down and talk about this stuff because death is far.
Death is far. Death is not far. It can happen, as you say, far, and then that is your last far you actually said. You know, anything can actually happen. So to a guy that thinks death is far, I think it's more an issue of having to sober up. You know, we need to be sober-minded and know that it can happen anytime. It can happen to anybody. And that is why it's important that let's have those conversations. And I know sometimes, especially as guys, we think, no, when we start talking about those things, because now I must declare, I've got a policy with Metropolitan, I've got so much money in my bank. And then people are going to be like, Lifula Highland PDs. You know, when is this guy going to hit left so that I can get access to these?
Okay, can you make this process happen?
Let's just fast track this whole thing, you know. But Rather, let us err on the side of safety,
Yeah.
and do the right thing.
Sure.
So that at the end of the day, the last thing we want is to find our families stranded and them living lives that are actually not what we actually want. And then maybe that is why you end up coming back and now having to be thinking, oh, damn, I didn't put this in the will.
Yeah.
And now you must come and become this spirit that is haunting everybody.
Sure.
Okay. I'm not suggesting that happens, but anyway, I'm just
Sure.
using that as an example.
No, that's good. That's fair, man. Which I think that's fair. And it just makes me think about like, even how we speak about death in Black communities. So, and I think part of that is the languaging around it.
Yeah.
Like we use very polite words. We use euphemisms to define death. Uglala, uktula. But I think that also takes out the sting. So the cousin that I was speaking about, when he calls me, he's like, "Hey man, we ask uthi amanzi angachitheka noma uni." I'm like, that sounds very poetic. The water will spill, and death is death, right? So I'm like, maybe we should also just change the languaging to kind of wake guys up and to bring them closer to what the reality of death is and the urgency of this thing. So in your experience, do you think that we should? Because again, we don't want to rob our language of its beauty, but there might also just be a level where men are passive because amanzi angachitheka noma kunini uyolala, but and so there's just no sense of, man, you need to wake up, you need to man up, you need to be a husband and lead and actually prepare your family, because it's not just water that's spilling. Like it's your life, and then your life leaves a lot of chaos behind if you didn't order it. Yeah, what would you say to that?
I honestly don't think we need to change our language, our lingo. We're moving from one type of generation to another, and languages change and stuff like that. As long as we do things not from a position of fear, okay, it is more about being more alert and aware. For me, it is more an issue of awareness. You can change the language and say, but at the end of the day, it all goes back to what have you done to prepare for that time? You can call it ulele or amanzi achitegile and whatever, but at the end of the day, it's all about the experience or the situation that comes through. And therefore, let us rather pay more attention on getting ourselves ready and prepared to whatever extent. Sometimes it's all about not just making provision to get a decent burial. And some people have got the attitude of saying, nah, but anyway, when I'm dead, and all of that. Let's think beyond that. It mustn't just be about just the funeral cover to say, no, this is how we're going to bury you. There's debt. You don't want to leave people with debt. People living in a certain type of a lifestyle, a certain house, and all that. And the bank, they don't care. As long as the bond is not fully paid, they will come and repossess. Whether a person passed on amanzi achitegile or not, they will come for that money. That is why it's important to take things like the life cover that is actually available out there, so that you can protect yourself around those type of things. And also, let us make sure that we really pay attention to these things. Like I said, not from a position of fear. But from a position of being smart. For me, that is leadership. For me, that is being a man. For me, that is being the legit type of a guy that knows his story and knows that some things have got to be in place more than the partying. And a lot of these things, they're actually not that expensive to put in place. And we just put them in place so that at the end of the day, pick up the phone, call a metropolitan of this life and say, hey, I know you deal with funeral policies. Please help me understand this thing. And then you'll find that it's actually not as expensive as you actually think. The money that you spend on the savannas and is that what they are called? The savannas and all those different drinks.
They don't drink this rooibos.
No. They don't drink the rooibos and stuff. But at the end of the day, even the rooibos, you'll be surprised to find that that could actually be sufficient money to at least cover you to whatever extent. Let's not think about all these heavy, expensive covers and all of that. It's all about at least do something. Let's start somewhere. Small, but let's get somewhere. I like what you said at the beginning, failing forward.
Yeah.
Rather start somewhere and pay it forward.
Sure. That's
Yep.
good. That's good. I think that that leads us perfectly to think more practically about the stuff. So there's a guy listening to us and is like, man, I hear you guys, but I just don't know where to start. Like, how much should I have? Like, where do I go? Where's Metropolitan? Do I Google them? Just some practical things, maybe that you know of, maybe you've done in your own life, because another big thing is, working with men, I realize that most of us tend to want to mirror other men. And so in most areas, and that does not, warrant it to be an excuse, but at least it justifies a level of understanding that I didn't have a father who did this. He left us in chaos. And so then I mirror that. And when I look into his history, he didn't have a father who did the same thing. And so then generation after generation, we're just mirroring the same chaos. And so I'm trying to find practical ways of how I could break this cycle, I could break this chain. We live in an age of, information that's readily available. And so how can we help guys and empower them now with information? If I switch this episode off, where should I go start?
Yeah, I would start at www.metropolitan.co.za.
Sure.
Okay, now, the landing page of Metropolitan, I've gone in there, checked it out, effectively provide some guidance, things that actually give direction as to these are the things that you are interested in, 1, 2, 3, 4, therefore click here so that you can be helped.
Sure.
Because sometimes other people's requirements may be investments, other people's it may be risk management, and they vary, but there's sufficient information to actually then provide guidance in that particular way. And then when you look at it, at the end of the day, it's all about seeking information,
Sure.
so that we don't sit there and think, nah, I can't afford. There's so much that we spend money in.
Yeah.
And like I said, to whatever extent, you don't want to be one of those uncles that whenever there's a funeral, when you walk into the place, you always start a song, and because at least put something on the table.
Sure.
Be in a position to contribute something towards that at the end of the day. So that would be the first thing. Go there. And then also engage other people.
Yeah.
And just because other people look successful out there doesn't mean that they are successful.
Say that, yeah.
They may be driving flashy cars, but those cars may be driving them at night whilst they are asleep. Because of all the installments they are thinking, oh, flip. They're even avoiding private numbers.
Sure.
Because they don't know who's calling.
Sure.
But let's make sure that to whatever extent, talk to people. Make sure that you get proper and solid advice. And sift information that you're actually getting. There's people who will instill fear and tell you, no, you don't really need this.
Sure.
You can always save for it.
Yeah.
No. It's important that you get something that is actually going to protect you.
Yeah.
So that when those events happen, you are able to provide cover. If you look at it for an example, the Metropolitan Funeral Plan, if I can use that as an example, not only does it cover you, your spouse, your children, you can also cover your mother-in-law, your own mother, your parents, and extended family members. Because those things, they happen. Because they look at you, they're like, hey, Chief, udula koma khueng. So it means we've got money. And that time they don't know, you're living in some back room somewhere and all that. But at the end of the day, when something happens, they look and say, what's expected from you?
Exactly.
And you know how Murphy's Law is. These things, they happen when you least expect them. And when it's probably the January type situation. And now you don't want to be dealing with that situation whereby the little that you have saved, now you must dip into that. But at least that can take care of those type of things.
Yeah. Sure, that's good. That's good, man. It truly helps us. So even for myself, I'm like, since my friend's mother's passing, I've been thinking heavily about this stuff. And part of my musing and thinking, I realize that a lot of us come to the city, live our townships, leave the village, and we probably don't even start planning because we thinking, when I've made money, then I'll, but right now I'm just trying to care for my own life and where I'm at. I'm trying to move from the back room and actually get into a house and start paying a bond. So only when I'm settled, I'm trying to move from driving this kind of car when I get that other kind of car. Once all of these things are settled, then I'll start thinking about the stuff. And I think a lot of us get trapped in that kind of thinking, and as much as we can hear that death is imminent, it's going to happen at any time. But my immediate environment says otherwise, like all the things that's glittering. I just need to care for this. I need to not appear like the guy who's fake, who lives in Komahueng, but I'm actually not maintaining this life. I want to get to a point where I'm actually truthful and living authentically.
Yeah.
But you don't know how long that's going to take you.
Yeah.
And I think another thing that sobers us up from that is thinking about especially women that are left behind, mothers, wives, our sisters. They get hit the hardest. When they have to scramble. And I think maybe even like speaking about that stuff, some of us might know it, but maybe not to like an extent where the weight is enough to wake you up. Like in your experience, what are some of the things that women deal with after you've left? You grew up with 6 sisters.
Yep.
And had anything unfortunately happened to you and you didn't plan your life, maybe you weren't married, you would have left them just having to scramble to try and figure out, one, how to bury you, but then secondly, how to take care of your affairs. God forbid, you probably had like some kids who were wandering around and they get to the funeral and they're like, hey, this one looks like... and they're also there trying to hustle for some inheritance as well,
Yeah.
In your experience, what are some of those situations and what do they look like?
Yeah, and those are unfortunate the realities of life.
Sure.
They actually do happen. Now, the important thing is for us to be quite open. And I know for us as guys, maybe it's because of some experiences that we have seen other people go through, whereby declaring that, hey, you know what, there's this other one, this child that is around, and I can't declare because now I'm scared of the treatment. I would say, guys, let's actually have the guts. Rather put the issue on the table, let it be dealt with.
Sure.
If there's war and there's drones flying and killing each other and whatever the thing is, but at least it would have been dealt with.
Sure.
So that when people see a Senzanga corner in the wheel, they should not be like, hey, who's this? Sure. But at least it would have been put on the table from that perspective. And also let us live authentic lives and be real and genuine. A lot of significant others, wives, girlfriends, and etc., they actually find themselves in difficult situations because of is there a word called unauthentic? I don't know. Maybe let me create that word for the purpose of today. Whereby we were not real, and we presented a false me, and I did not say exactly who is in my life.
Sure.
Where have I gone? And what do I have? And at the end of the day, now they must pick up the pieces, like you're saying. They look at the nose, they're like, that's a Caskey nose, that one. And but it becomes a better thing to rather put it on the table, let it get dealt with, so that we can be able to move on. Yes, there may be dynamics, the child may not be accepted, but at least you've put on the table. And also, when it actually comes to the type of mess, the biggest mess that we leave are usually driven by 3 things: communication and finances, and also how we relate. Okay, relationships. Let's make sure that relationships are put on the table to say this is the situation, because everybody has a past.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if ever my significant other does not accept that, then there's a problem. Because I was not born when we said yes to each other.
Yeah.
She has a history, I have a
We
history.
wish it was like that.
Therefore, it's important for us to actually put that on the table.
Yeah.
And so that's the communication part. And then the relationship part comes through to then say, how do we relate? As far as, if I'm honest with you,
Yeah.
I would rather we have a nasty vibe from honesty than to have a cool vibe from dishonesty.
Lies. Sure. Sure.
For me, it's all about being authentic. Yeah. Okay. And the last one is that financial fitness situation.
Oof.
Am I financially capable to be able to provide for myself, for the people that I love and care for? Okay. And I'm not suggesting you must live in a mansion and have a Ferrari and fly around in a jet. Of course, those things are nice. Yeah. And I'm not saying don't aspire for them. We must all have them. I believe they are our portion. Yeah. We must go for them and get them done right and enjoy them, because that's why they're there. Yeah. At the end of the day, let us make sure that we provide. Yeah. We get the basics right. You made an example about the first thing when we talk and you think about, hey, my crib, what car am I going to drive and all that. We really need to change that mindset and start thinking about, let me at least provide cover for myself. Yeah. Should anything happen as I drive out in this Polo. Yes. Or in this whatever other car that you aspire to have, and something happens, because it can happen just like that. Exactly. Let rather what has been intended to harm rather end up becoming a blessing in disguise for those that stay behind. So insurance cover becomes an important thing. Should you die, it must not be a thing that we say, no, people that are insurance people, we usually call them should you die. But unfortunately, we do die. Yes. It's gonna happen. The issue is, let's provide for it. And then let's make sure that we get those things done. Am I saying don't pursue the car? No, I'm not saying that. But not at the expense of getting the basics right. Let's get the foundation right. And the financial fitness is a foundational necessity. And let's make sure that we've got that in place.
When did you wake up to all of this reality? Because you speak very eloquently, and it seems like you've thought through these things. At what points in your life did you say, "Man, I need to wake up"? Or have you always?
No, I'm still waking up.
Okay.
Because these things, it's information that you gather in bits and pieces. Sure. The important thing is doing something about it. And we're not perfect, and we do things, we end up, we get blacklisted. Now you can't do this. Even insurance companies, credit checks get done for you, even taking a policy to check, are you going to be able to manage this thing? Sure. So I started some time ago. I think I had started working, and I think policies got started and then they lapse and all of that. So it's not like I've got it all together. Don't be fooled by you saying I'm eloquent, But it's all about, at least I've been attempting, put it in place and whatever. Yes. And it has also paid out to a large extent. There are some investments whereby I would go out and save. And then after that, life happens. And then after that, I go back, revisit some of those savings and all of that. So we mustn't think that we're going to have it together 100%. Yeah. The important thing is at least be in the game. At least be in the game. I was actually watching something on, I think it was on Facebook or something, sometime this week. And there was this guy who was actually running the comrades. Yeah. He was probably one of the last ones to actually finish. When they're about to ring the bell and whatever. But the bottom line, he did what? He played. Yeah. He participated. Sure. When he's got that medal, it's not written anyway to say you finished 10 minutes or whatever. Sure. The issue is let's get the basics right.
Yeah.
Even if you fail, start.
Sure.
Keep on going, keep on going.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's all about let's keep on doing the right thing when we can.
And we can.
Yeah.
I need to sit down and talk to my wife about the stuff. Finances are always a tough thing between couples. So again, guys listening to this and is like, sure, you guys are winning me over. I'm agreeing. I'm gonna go on the Metropolitan website. I'm gonna do my research. But man, now I need to talk to my wife about money. How do you help me, broach the subject? And I might be in debt that she doesn't even know about. And I don't want to leave this earth and leave her with that debt. It's probably like, crazy money. How do we help that guy?
That guy, there's an interesting fact. Women are very efficient and effective risk managers. Okay. And in such a way that at the end of the day...
You just gained us a lot of subscribers. Thank you.
No, but because it's a fact. It's a fact, okay?
Sure.
Because when you come and you actually start talking that language, your woman will understand you. They will know exactly to say, my man, now that's what we're talking about. Because you are interested in getting things right. I don't think it will be a struggle. Okay, in terms of making sure that you are saying, babe, this is the provision that we need to make. These are the things that we must put in place. Yes, you said we must get that lounge suite that costs 80K. Maybe let's get the one that costs 60K and use the 20K to do 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, the quality of the leather may not be 100% the same as the one you wanted, but that's the language that women actually understand and they appreciate. And those conversations, I don't think that they'll actually be difficult conversations in that way. And guess what? You're going to earn, as a guy, serious brownie points.
Come on now.
From actually initiating that type of a conversation.
That's good.
Because women, I said, they are very, very good and effective risk managers. Therefore, risk management, it's all about making sure that you anticipate things that could go wrong. Now that's leadership. Okay. So when you say, hey, I'm the head, you can't be a thunderhead. It's important that you become a head that thinks, that leads. Okay? Because a lot of people as guys, we go there and say, no, submit to me. Submission is one of the easiest things for any woman to do. Okay? Very, very, very easy. Provided you are getting them to submit to something bigger that is going to stretch them and leave them in a better form. It's not about just positional authority. It's about an authority level that is saying, babe, you know what? This is where I see us. I see us being multimillionaires. I see us being this. You've expressed to me a dream and a desire for you to be this effective woman who's doing things for the community, etc. But guess what? For us to realize those things, let us work on smaller projects and grow from that perspective. And as we're working towards that, should God remember me and I leave, let that dream not die. But let's rather use that 10 million payout that's going to come out to propel that vision forward.
Come on now.
Who's going to refuse to submit to something like that? Because it's not about submission to say, hey, no, this couch is going to be green. No, she prefers... And let me tell you something. A lot of times, whenever I wanted things done a certain way, and my wife has counter-argued. My wife is not a walkover. She's one of those people that you better have a business case. You must have your facts straight.
Come on.
You must know exactly what you want, why you want to do it, what is the benefit, why must we change this situation and all that. And let me tell you, I have found situations whereby what I wanted to do actually had a number of loopholes. Should I have had a Yebo Baba type of a wife who was not probing things, I don't think that would have progressed to where we are. Why? Risk management mindset, okay? And therefore, it becomes that. Now, as a person, whenever there's that conversation that must take place, it's about positioning. You don't go there with an authoritative approach.
Sure.
You go there with an empowering approach. I really want to take our family to the next level.
Yeah.
These are the risks that we need to manage.
Sure.
And this is the solution that I have researched and I've found. Can we consider this?
Sure.
It becomes a non-issue from a conversation perspective.
Oh, that's incredible. that's incredible. As you're talking, I'm thinking of, even in light of the conversation that we're having, for us to be effective leaders or even faithful leaders as husbands, we need to have a vision.
Yeah.
Part of that vision will include, the inevitable, which is death. And how do we prep for that? And maybe we probably have to paddle back here. Even from a leadership perspective, how do we help guys, sit and actually start formulating a vision for themselves, for their family, for the future, a vision that surpasses them even after they've passed on. Because a lot of guys wake up 5 years into the marriage and they realize we're having struggles, but if we, kind of search deeper, the struggle is because you didn't have a clear vision for yourself. You didn't even communicate a vision for this family. And so your wife is struggling to submit, like you're saying. It feels like she's bucking up against you, but man, you didn't communicate where it is that you want to take her. So from a leadership perspective, how can we help guys to formulate a vision? What is that dream? Yeah,
I would actually say a vision for a family needs to be co-created.
Sure.
I don't think that men have got that superpower of being the ones that God has given them that wisdom to be the only ones that can craft a vision.
Sure.
Okay. The only thing that I believe in, though, is the fact that God goes to the men first to hold them accountable when things go wrong.
Sure.
Okay. Sure. It's not a capability issue, it's an accountability issue.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Therefore, a vision needs to be co-created between the husband and the wife to then say, where do we see ourselves going?
Yeah.
To what level? Are we a Caskey level? Are we a Bryanston level? Are we a Yacht level? Are we a, we want to go to space every 10 years or something like that? What level? Craft that. And then after that, put together steps on what are the things that we're going to do to be able to achieve that. So that is the first thing, in having to make sure that you don't create it on your own. Because you can go out there and create something that is totally against her own aspirations.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even when you've got your own personal vision, whilst you're single, when you meet somebody else, you don't say, hey, here's my vision, come plug in. It doesn't work like that. It's about, yes, I would like to share my vision. Tell me your vision story. And then take the two and create something stronger that is actually bigger than the two of you, so that at least it is something that you are always stretching. Every month, you are actually stretching. And every allocation of your financial resources that you are getting talks to that.
Sure.
That is how you then end up saying, okay, now we're going to give this towards our expenses. We're going to give this towards our tithes and offerings. We're going to give this towards our vision. We're going to contribute to this. And then the rest, that is actually after you've saved and invested and all of that, when someone says, I need help with 1, 2, 3, 4, you look into that. Sure. Some people, they end up compromising everything else, including their own personal vision, aspirations, and everything else. Oh no, because so and so actually is stuck with their BMW. It doesn't have petrol. They were in Mtata. Now they can't come back. Yeah. Duh. You were driving an M4. It guzzles. Would you have known? Now, that's not an emergency. That's lack of planning. Sure. And therefore, we find ourselves compromising those type of things. So a vision, let's co-create it and make sure that we then create baby steps on what are the things that we're going to do to be able to realize it.
Yeah, sure. That's incredible. As you were talking about that, in my digging and research, there's a story you tell of you walking from Diepsloot to Centurion.
Yeah,
I related to that story because at some point in my life I was homeless, and there was something incredible you said about just don't come to spaces looking like your issues, so nobody needs to. And I'm like, I just thought of my grandmother. It's like, it doesn't matter what happens. Just look decent, right? Put on Vaseline. Don't look like your issues, right? You don't have to bother people, but show up and work hard, And so I was thinking in that moment of you walking. That's a long walk. One. What vision had you sold your family? What vision had you sold your wife? What vision had you co-created with her? And were you speaking to yourself in that walk about where it is that you see yourself as a husband, as a man, the kind of family that you want to work for? Did any of those thoughts kind of put more energy in your stride as you were walking? Because I'm like, man, like it has to take some supernatural divine strength to get you going. And then you got there early.
Yeah.
Which, if you got there late, I would have said, man, at least you tried. Like, well done. But you persevered. How? Why? What was happening in your mind?
Yeah, I must say that.
Hey, Beans and Bonds, the 7th edition. Or is it? It's actually supposed to be number 6 because we postponed the one in July. On that note, we want to thank everybody who supported us during that time by praying with and for us. We are back at it again, the 30th of August, right here at Christchurch Midrand. Doors open at 9:30 to sharply start at 10 to finish at 1 p.m. If you purchased your tickets, shout outs to you. If you haven't, what are you waiting for? Scan the QR code that appears on your screen right now, or you can follow the link in our link tree to make sure that you purchase your ticket, not just for Wena, but for everybody else that you know in your network, in your family, in your community. Make sure that the room is full. Why? Because we are continuing with the same theme we're going to look at in July, when good things become unhealthy escapes. Swara Likabe is going to be part of this conversation. Torch is going to be performing for us, and I get the honor and the privilege to be hosting another Beans and Bonds. Man, we have an exciting addition to Beans and Bonds. At 8 o'clock, we have an exclusive breakfast, only limited to 20 people, 20 spots. It's going to be a conversation between you, my wife, and myself. And we're going to get very deep and intimate and share a bit about our story. So make sure that you are purchasing tickets for that exclusive breakfast. Beans and Bonds, 30th of August. Doors open at 9:30 to sharply start at 10 to finish at 1 p.m. Make sure that you are part of the room. It's going to be super dope. All right, see you then. Peace.
But you persevered. How? Why? What was happening in your mind?
Yeah, I must say that you're actually reminding me of a very interesting experience. Because at the time, I had gone through a divorce, and me and my kids were actually literally homeless.
Sure.
We didn't have a place to live in, and they were staying in Diepsloot. And that is how I actually ended up joining the Momentum Metropolitan Group. And I was jobless, broke, didn't have anything. You know, that situation whereby you would send WhatsApps. No, it was not WhatsApp. It was, please call. Please call, 50 Rand.
Yes.
Because you want $50.
Please call.
And until you run out.
Yes.
And then you change to a Cell C SIM card because it's got more please call me's and stuff like that. And it was actually quite bad.
Sure.
And I got a call from a former employee of mine. He used to work and report to me.
Wow.
And he said, Caskey, let's meet and let's actually have a conversation. And I said, okay, cool, no problem. And that time I didn't even have money. I was in Diepsloot and the meeting was in Centurion. And knowing that there's no such thing that someone that you haven't spoken to in over 10 years will just call you and have coffee for nothing.
Sure.
I knew it was something serious.
Sure.
So I woke up. The appointment was for 8:30. But because I knew the distance from Diepsloot to Centurion, and I didn't have taxi money, I didn't have anything, and I had to walk. And I left the place I was at about 4 a.m. and walked. I didn't even tell my kids that I was going to walk because I knew I was going to leave them worried and all that. And took a walk all the way there. You said, what is it that was going through my mind? It was determination to bounce back. Because I had given my kids a lifestyle of living in estates, driving the best cars and all of that, being in the best schools. And now, boom, life happened. And I was determined to say, I'm not going to end up like this. I'm not going to take them through the experiences that I've gone through as a child, you know. And I walked and walked and walked and walked, got to a certain place, sit down, chill, and all that. And when I got to Centurion and I had umkaiser, you know, the boner to sharpen the shoes so that they are, you know, I had shield. I couldn't afford decent perfume, you know, so that when I walked there, Vaseline.
Come on now.
And at the end of the day, when I walked there, I looked like an executive that is well sought after.
Come on now.
They just didn't know. And cut a long story short, that is actually how I landed a GM position where I ended up looking after Metropolitan in KwaZulu-Natal as a PGM, as they actually call us. Okay. And the person there was Peter Chigubo. And because we used to work together at African Life, he reported into me and he had some challenges. And at the end of the day, he then said, you know what, Caskey, please come and assist me with this thing. That actually became a serious turnaround for my side. And therefore, he's one of the people that I meet with every now and then. I mean, we're chatting over WhatsApp over the weekend to say, hey, our coffee is overdue and things like that. He's now the CEO of the company. And for me, it is an issue of saying, when you've got determination, you mustn't allow things to stop you from achieving that. You've got that willpower that is on the inside that will say, go out and achieve those things. Just because there's no taxi money, there's no Uber money, there's no Gautrain money, there's not those type of things, must not stop you. That is why walking was the only option that I had. And I walked. It was a long walk to freedom. But at the end of the day,
literally,
it happened. And the things took place, and here I am. And still serving within the group. And I believe I'm actually adding a lot of significant value in the organization. And we keep on going. Going back to an internal resolve to make it a point that I can provide and I can set my family up for success.
A lot of us as young men, you know, I've been married for 11 years now.
Congratulations.
Thank you. We again try and do marriage with no examples. My own personal story, and I'm going to be very selfish now. You know, my own relationship with my dad broke down like 22 years ago. You know,
Sorry about that.
first 15 years of my life, my dad provided the kind of life that you describe you had before you hit that unfortunate snag. And then, you know, one day he just left, you know. And so as a young man growing up, you always wonder, like, I wonder what happened, what snapped in my dad's head. You know, I wonder what was going on, what conversations was he having. And then there's all these answers that you'd want, you know, from a father, that again, unfortunately, because he's not around, you don't get to ask those questions. I think by a miracle, God's grace, I'm meeting my dad next week.
Wow.
And so it's going to be a loaded meeting, and there's going to be a lot of answers that I need. He might not have those answers, but I'm filled with questions. And so I bring this up very selfishly again to ask you, you know, what chats were you having with your kids? Yes, you didn't tell them that you're gonna walk that day, but now you find yourself where you find yourself. As a father, what are you saying to them, you know, about the situation they're in? Are you promising them that they're gonna get out of it? how do you help them in their little brains make sense of where they found themselves? 37 this year. There's a 22-year gap that I haven't made sense of. And there's only one guy who can give me those answers. How did you help them make sense? Yeah, of where they were.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's a tough one. I would like to start by saying, well done in first making the decision to want to meet him and engage. Okay, that's a big step on its own.
Sure.
Okay, so well done on that. And I'm not going to probe further when it comes to that. Going back to your question, is that a number of things that we kept on talking about with my kids is that the Bible talks about the fact that God says, I know the plans I have for you. It doesn't say you know the plans I have for you. He says he knows.
Sure.
Plans to prosper you and make you a big success.
Sure.
And not to harm you. Okay. Therefore, it is always an issue of saying, my big daddy knows what he has for me. I don't. So as I go through issues, I rely on the fact that he knows.
Sure.
It's the same way as when my child is 7 years old and he knows that my daddy has got my best interest at heart. He doesn't know how.
Sure.
He doesn't know, like when he sees that McDonald's, Daddy, let's go in. He doesn't care if ever Daddy has money or whatever. All he knows, when we go in there, we want to come out with a burger.
My dad will get
Why?
me.
Because my dad knows. Okay. And therefore, that is something that I kept on instilling to my kids in having to say, you know what? There's a bigger person that is actually accountable for you. I'm assigned to look after you. But the ultimate provider is God. Okay. I'm just an instrument. And should anything happen with me, he is the ultimate person. Your life is not at its end should anything happen to me. He's the ultimate provider. And therefore, I have repeatedly reinforced my commitment to them to say, I will do anything, not anything illegal, not anything funny, but anything to make sure that I provide, I support, and enable, I empower, so that they can individually be self-sufficient in having to grow their own lives and like really live their own purpose. Going back to what is a husband, to make sure that an enable purpose. And that is part of that journey. So even when I came back and I said, I've got an offer, and that offer unfortunately meant that I had to then relocate to KZN. My son at the time, he was doing his matric and he couldn't unplug just like that. He lived alone. My daughter was at varsity in the Free State. Okay. And therefore, we were all living in 3 provinces at the same time. But guess what? Because of the fact that we knew what we were working towards, and we've got that accountability that we actually built around there. And I've got such a good relationship with them in such a way that we talk about a lot of things. Even when things are tough, I tell them, hey guys, hey, this month is longer than the money. You know, please sort me out. And I mean, sometimes they'll come and say, okay, now I've got $200. You're thinking, oh, flip, I needed $2,000. But anyway, you know. And but that's the type of a relationship that we have in that way. And
that's good.
For me, I've had a situation, and I'm glad that you are actually doing something in terms of that relationship with your father, because there's a blessing in it. That is going to make sure that a lot of things also on top of that, they get to be enhanced. Okay. And the first time, my dad, there was a time whereby he walked away also from home. And the first time when I met with him, all I was interested in was not to ask why, but was just to reinforce the fact that, you know what, thank you for affording me the opportunity to reconnect and just know that I've forgiven you. I don't know why. I've forgiven you. Okay.
Sure.
Did I feel forgiving? No. But I use the fact that forgiveness is just a decision.
Yeah.
We'll deal with the feelings of feeling forgiven some other time.
That's good.
And then as the relationship strengthened and strengthened, that is when I started seeking the answers.
Sure.
Because that first engagement, it was very emotional for me to say, Chief, why? What did I do? Because I personalized it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it wasn't going to yield anything. And sometimes things can off ramp. He could say something, maybe intending to say the right thing, but it comes out wrong, etc. But I allowed the relationship to strengthen a bit such that I can be in a position of trusting the things that he was actually saying.
Yeah.
And because I wasn't sure also to say, Chief, are you here just for now? Or you here forever?
Sure.
So that is actually how I dealt with it. So I really commend you. It's a huge step, and may God bless you with that.
Thank you. No, I appreciate that. Yeah, and I take that totally. Thank you for that. Thank you for sharing that with us as well. And I know it's helping a lot of guys. Part of why we started this podcast was because of that story, and trying to help many Black boys not to have that story, to encourage their fathers who are married to stay at home and love on them and love their wives. So thank you for that, and just honoring me in this moment as well by sharing your story. As I was thinking now, we've been talking a lot about what the man needs to do in order to prep for when he's gone. What happens when his spouse dies? How does he prep for that? How do we get man to say, hey, yes, you need to wake up to the reality that you might leave, but what happens if our wives, our kids die before we do? How do we prep for that?
Yeah. No, that's a tough one. I think you've really done your homework. I lost my kid's mother after 11 years of marriage.
Sure.
And she passed on.
Sure.
Which was actually quite tough. Because now you end up with kids that used to have a mother figure.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden they don't have a mother figure in their lives. And it's not an easy thing that you'll ever wish on anybody, because a mother is a mother is a mother.
Yeah.
You can have somebody else, but they will never be the mother. Yes, they can do their best to play a motherly role. And at the end of the day, it's a difficult one.
Yeah.
And when that actually happened, it's something that really got one to having to say, how do I prep myself? Because I've done my best to be an amazing father, not as an amazing mother.
Sure.
There's things that I just can never do as a man to play the motherly role. And, the mother hen, they'll gather and whatever and do all those different things. There's things that I just cannot do.
Yeah.
But now I had to start learning some of these things. And the biggest thing was assuring and reassuring to say, it's all going to be okay.
Sure.
We will be fine. And also help them to actually experience life in a way that builds self-confidence in them. Otherwise, it's not an easy thing to actually see your kids grow up without a mother.
Yeah.
Because then after that, you're going to meet people. And some of those people may be genuinely loving your kids or tolerating your kids. You'll never know which one is which, But at the end of the day, the biggest thing is making sure that at all opportune moments, you keep on checking and making sure that they never feel lonely, left out, or in a position whereby they are disconnected from life, or they think that life has come to an end. Because life happens.
Yeah.
It's not an easy thing. After 11 years of marriage, and then boom, asthma hits, and then the person in so many months, poof, gone. And you're like, yes, I didn't plan for this. And it becomes an issue.
Yeah.
So now I would say that, life does throw and I know these people like to play with words. Hey, when life throws lemons, take them and make lemonade and that type of a thing. There's a reality and a truth in that.
Sure.
That take those experiences and rather use them for the better.
Yeah.
And that is why I am personally working on what I regard as it's a personal thing where it is more a take a boy child to work type approach.
Come on.
Because there's a lot that is being done for men. So I've registered a ministry called Strength.
Okay.
Primarily aimed at helping young boys
Sure.
to become solid, strong men that are of substance and that know exactly what is it that I need to do and be in a position of growing that. So it's still in its infancy.
Sure.
It's still at an ideation level. And putting all those things together, moving step by step.
Yeah.
So that at the end of the day, it is all about what type of men do we have in the society.
Yeah. Sure.
And when you make a mistake, how to deal with that. Okay. Because out there, it's sad to say, I'm a man. But we've got a very, 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 very few men. We've got a lot of males.
Yeah.
But very few men.
Yeah.
Okay, a lot of males that just donate spam and walk away.
Yeah.
But the issue is, are we men enough to be able to be accountable and take responsibility?
Yeah.
And get rid of this thing of having women having to chase us for support and we're busy defending and we're doing all those different things out there.
Sure.
Let's man up. Not male up. You're born a male, but you get formed to be the man. Yeah. Now it's important that we actually man up and live those lives so that at the end of the day, we can set the good examples on the younger boys to then say, how can they also grow up to be solid men?
Yeah.
Men who know who they are. Men who know how to live a life of purpose and give meaning to life to the people that are actually around them.
That's great. I heard this quote. It said, it's easier to raise a strong boy than to heal a broken man. So it's easier to raise them while they're still young to become the kind of men that we want. But to heal a man who's old and is broken, that's hard work. So we'll be praying for your ministry, definitely.
Thank you.
Yeah. We need more of those. It's really just the heartbeat behind why we do what we do as well. We want to change this country by ensuring that there's men who become men and live as men. When you spoke about lemonades, taking lemon and turning it into lemonade, I tend to contextualize that and say take lemons and turn them into oros.
I like it. Awesome.
Yeah. Because it's Mbisa as lemonade.
Yes.
So that's oros.
Yes, that's so true.
Yeah. Maybe we could transition here. And you work in several countries.
Yeah.
So you in Mozambique, Namibia, Ghana, Lesotho. All those are different places culturally.
Yeah.
Part of your experience in working in those countries, one, how do they, treat death, funerals? That's the first one, just some insights from your work. But then secondly, there's a lot of our brothers who come from those countries, work in South Africa. And most of them, majority, again, we came to work, like most of us who come to the city, we come to work, and then we think we'll plan for death when things are kind of established. We have systems of, taking money back home. Once that's moving, then we'll start thinking about death, and death inevitably happens. And then we have to transport the body back to one of those countries that they come from. And then we hit with bills. We don't know how much it costs to transport a body. We didn't plan for that. And so the family that was back home that you were working for now has to take money that's non-existent to bring your body back home.
Yeah.
So how can we help brothers think about that now? What are some of the things that they need to start putting in place to plan for their deaths, to plan for their bodies to be taken back home. So that's the second thing. First thing is, just how do those countries treat death? Do they view it like us? Do they have nuances that are different from ours?
Yeah. The interesting thing and the interesting reality is that death is a universal thing. It's a life thing. So it happens everywhere.
Sure.
The thing about it is that we respond differently as human beings to death. And because of the different cultures, religions, and you do find other areas whereby you need to be buried before the sunset, either the same day or the following day or whatever. And therefore, it's important that financial institutions adjust and they are operationally capable to be able to respond to those. So in the different countries, all those dynamics are actually taken care of in the way that products are actually designed. So that turnaround times become things that effectively can adhere to that. That is why when you look at organizations like Metropolitan having to settle over 94% of claims within 4 hours, the last time I actually checked. Valid claims, and because of the digital approach that actually gets to be taken by the organization. Now, it's an issue also of then knowing the fact that to our brothers and sisters that come from the different countries, that organizations like Metropolitan does cater and provide cover for those type of environments. Just because a person is a foreigner doesn't mean that they cannot be secured from a financial services point of view. And the other thing is, there is a benefit called repatriation benefit. And all that it is the fact that it's the transportation of the deceased from the place of death to the place of burial. Okay, in South Africa, it could be you've come to Komagoeng in Jozi, you are from the Eastern Cape, and when you pass on, it is very expensive to transport a person when they're actually dead than when they're alive. I mean, it can cost anything 16 to 20K. You haven't even buried anybody. Now think about it, if ever it's even outside the country, because there's a lot of red tape that is involved and all of that. And therefore, within an environment like a Metropolitan, there is a benefit that forms part of the funeral plans that are actually there, and which the customer doesn't pay an extra cent for. It's embedded in there. It's a repatriation benefit that takes care of that. And so for our brothers and sisters from out there, there is that provision that is also made. Not only does Metropolitan transport people should you have passed on outside the country into South Africa, but it's also the other way around. And as long as it's a valid policy and the claim is valid, that gets to be taken care of in that way. In the different countries, there are places and people who actually may not actually even see the burial as a big deal. It happens also here in South Africa. Whereby there's families who won't spend even more than 5,000 on a funeral. It's there. It's a reality. And the same thing applies in the other countries also. So it's a reality that is there. The similarities, especially being African, is the fact that we respect death. We respect the dead, and we try by all means to make sure that we give a dignified funeral. Because we honor the person that has passed on. Not that we are worshiping them, but it's more an issue of appreciating and really giving them a decent send-off. So that's a common trait that I've actually experienced as I've been working in the different countries in that particular way. And the important thing is that from a financial services perspective, it's important that people choose carefully. So that it does not become something whereby you just get financial value, but the complexity that is involved in transporting a person when they've died, it's actually quite hectic. You can't just take a person, put them in a Siaya, in a taxi, put a sporty there, and they pretend as if they are someone that is asleep. It's illegal.
Guys, don't do that.
It's illegal. You are not allowed to do that. But now, those type of funeral plans actually, with those benefits of repatriation, they actually help from that perspective.
That's great, man. That's really good, and I think that's good information to help a lot of guys with that. I mean, when I was just doing my own reading, when I saw the amount, 15, 16, 20,000, I'm like, man, that's most people just don't have that money lying around.
Exactly.
You know, so you need to definitely be planning and thinking about that. Yeah, this has certainly been insightful and incredible learning curve for me, and it's given me a lot of things to go back home and speak to my wife about. We have a 6-year-old, and so yeah,
They're cute at that age.
very, very cute.
Yeah.
God intentionally made them that way because He knows how frustrating they get. So you just think, man, like God had to make you cute because of how angry you're making me right now.
Yeah,
And the cuteness just calms you down, you know. So, but I always think, and my wife lost her dad when she was 5.
Ouch.
You know, so the reality of death is just, you know, the conversations around death have been part of our marriage since we got together, and so and her dad, you know, really planned well to take care of them long after he's gone, and so these conversations have really got me thinking about my own kid and, you know, things that I need to be doing to look after her and my wife, you know, in case I leave first. So I want to thank you so much for that, and just information that you've given us, and it's truly encouraging.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Earlier on, you had, you know, kind of spoken about the proverb, you know, that a man whose wives will leave an inheritance for his grandkids. Solomon speaks about that thing as well in Ecclesiastes 4. You know, so he's, you know, if you know anything about Ecclesiastes, he's like done everything. You know, by the time he gets to chapter 4, he thinks about his wealth, and then he thinks, who am I going to leave this to? You know, and Solomon had 300 wives, 700 concubines. And yet when you do your history, you realize that, like, he actually had, you know, scholars say probably one son out of all the kids that he had, which I'm like, I don't know if it's a judgment by God, right? Because now he looks at his entire wealth and he thinks, I have to leave it to this one guy. And so in Ecclesiastes 4, he's wrestling with that question. And he says, you know, like, when I look at my wealth, will I leave it with this fool, right? And he uses that language. But when you read deeper into the text, you realize that he's not calling his son a fool in and of the son's existence, but he's actually being very self-reflective. If my son ends up as somebody who's not financially savvy, it's my fault.
Yeah.
I didn't train him. So he will be a fool who will squander my wealth, not because of him, but because of me as a father. And I didn't leave any financial literacy. I didn't train him, you know, and develop his financial personality, as it were. And so I bring that up because your son is in the room.
Yep.
And this is going to be the first in our podcast. I'm gonna leave, and he's gonna come sit here, and I want you guys for you to kind of speak to him about setting himself up to be the kind of man that we've been speaking about now. And if he has any questions, he'll throw questions. If he doesn't, but this is gonna be a lesson in real time. There's many fathers who are watching this. I'm in the room as well. I'm a father. Yeah. And I'm asking you to just give us a practical, real-time lesson on how to have conversations that matter with our children, and particularly your son.
Awesome.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been waiting to say this. We're going to welcome Junior, because it's trippy. They have the same names, first and second. Right? So this is quite cool, man. Bro, you could pull through, man.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Black.
Thank you. Yes, yeah. I'm Caskey. I'm
Caskey too.
I'm Vusumuzi.
I'm Luyanda.
He's Luyanda. Awesome stuff, yeah. Luyanda, maybe if ever you can just let's just share with the viewers. And the nice thing is that you and I did not prepare.
Yeah.
So now this is actually live and legitimate. Let me close my laptop also. How old are you?
Last I checked was 24. According to financial year, I'm 25.
Age next birthday.
Age next birth, yes.
Okay, cool stuff. And when I know you called her mommy, when she passed on, how did that make you feel?
Well, it gets a bit interesting because obviously when I lost mommy at, I think I was 11 years old. So at that point, it's like you don't really understand the concept of death. You just understand that this person is no longer here. Like you understand, like, oh yeah, this person's died, but like there's no real understanding of, okay, you've lost your mother, well, in my case, my mom, right? And so if ever you get thrown into that situation, because I even remember when got the news of like everything and that mommy's passed away and everything, we're literally on our way to school. And now it's like, okay, do we go to school or do we go back at home and sit? And to think of being at home, to be like, no, let me rather be around friends to at least remove the thing of, oh, this is happening, this and that. At least let me distract myself with at least friends. So I think in that moment, it's just a thing of not understanding, but also feeling, at least what I can say, safe, because obviously you were there to tell me the news and everything like that. So obviously you had a role to play in keeping me grounded, keeping me at least quote unquote safe in that regard. So I think that's what I have to say about that. Yeah.
Okay. And I know that the response was very emotional and at the same time responsible in the way in which you actually reacted. Now, coming back into you as a man, a grown man, you said you are 25, age next birthday.
Yes. Sir.
That is a quarter of is it a century?
A century.
Yeah. So that's it's been a while. And just talk to us and share with the viewers out there about what is your level of understanding as far as being financially savvy, aware, and prepared is concerned. And what are you currently doing? And what is your understanding about that?
Yeah, great question. So I think for someone my age, like I said, 25, it's a bit tough to filter out all the noise of financial management and everything, because now we live in an age where everything is digital. There's this new TikTok hack of financial whatever. So you have to kind of sift and find the information that's right, because we live in an economy now where attention is abundant. It's no longer attention is not attention, knowledge is scarce or things like that. Now you're in a situation where you've got too much information, so you'd have to sift through and find those things. And I think speaking to someone who actually understands this type of thing is going to be the best thing, because what we like to do, maybe we want to be quick and be like, oh, let's go to ChatGPT and just quickly find out what's going on. But in that case, you'd miss context, you'd miss things. So I think speaking to someone who actually has the information of, okay, even if it's just someone who's 2 or 3 steps ahead of you, it doesn't have to be this thing of, oh, I need a mentor that's going to guide me in life and give me the keys to everything. It may just be someone who's 1, 2, 3 steps ahead of you that's going to give you a little piece to then get you to go and get other pieces for the puzzle to put everything together. So I think speaking to someone that's qualified and actually knows at least better what you're doing for, like, let's say an example for you, you know more about life generally, as opposed to me. So when it comes to financial planning or making sure that these things are in place, I will literally come to you and ask you, hey, Dad, look, how do I do this? What is this? What is this tax thing? Or what is this thing? Or how do I set up my, let's say if I want to set up a will now, if I want to set up my own financial things, I'm going to come to you because I've assumed that, okay, you're in the sector, you've done these things, or even if it's just time or skin in the game, as people would call it, you'd have a better perspective on that. And so that's what I would do as a person my age, to kind of find the answers and at least get some guidance going somewhere.
Awesome stuff. And Now, as a man that is turning 25 very soon, that's in September, and looking at life, how would you say that life has turned out for you? Do you have any regrets? Do you have any things that you feel you could have done them better, or maybe I could have done them better?
Okay. Well, I think for me, things that would have, let's say, helped me or what would I've changed, I don't think I would have changed anything specifically because I don't think we would have known or I would have known the outcome if I had changed it to be a certain way. So wouldn't necessarily know what to change things to. So I think leaving things the way they are is most probably going to be the best situation because, I mean, we can't actually change things, but to leave them the way they are because, yes, I've made mistakes. I've like hit roadblocks or anything like that. But those certain things are the things that have developed me to be the person that I am today. Yes, I can learn and yes, I can grow some more, 100%. But that's going to take me to put in the work and put in the effort to make the future or make the change that I want to see later on so that I don't have to worry about the things in the past I could have done better. Maybe what I could have done better is reading more or something like that, or just trying to be more inquisitive about certain things. But I think to change things in the past, I don't think that's what I would see myself doing or want to do. Yeah.
Okay. And then what would you like me as a father to change in terms of start or stop, do more of or do less of?
Okay. I think to do more of is to have kind of conversations like this. I know even recently we've started having more in-depth conversations and stuff like that. Because the reason I'd want things like that to happen is because we live in a generation, or we, at least what it used to be, is that no, you don't ask your elders. No, you're just supposed to sit and accept. And that's how it's supposed to be. And you're supposed to just listen and do all these things. But then we get in a situation where, oh yeah, we don't know where Baba's will is because we didn't talk about it or something like that. So I think the whole openness thing, or at least a generational change that's happening, is to at least communicate more. Be more open to listening to someone that's younger or my age, because a lot of the times it's like, you're young, what do you know? But to think that someone doesn't know based off of their age or whatever it may be is gonna stunt your growth as a person in life, because you just have a certain viewpoint that's gonna kind of hold you back. So I think conversation is the main thing, talking about it, because even as Black people, we don't really talk about things like serious. We always just make jokes about things, even though it's needed sometimes. But to be able to actually have the serious conversation, open the table and open everything, not everything's gonna have to be a joke. But I get it, it's our coping mechanism. But
Yes.
I think communication and just opening up, yeah.
Awesome stuff. And one of the things, if I can just point out to the listeners and those watching this channel, is the fact that as things are, my wife actually has got a password to my iPhone, because there's times whereby there is a need for emergencies, access to information and things like that. So there is that transparency that is actually there, whereby at the end of the day, it is all about making sure that should anything happen, people mustn't be scrounging around and wondering who are his friends, and then they see it on Facebook to say, hey, yo, the funeral was nice, and it's very important that that communication is there and that openness. And the same thing applies, including my kids. They have got, I forgot what that feature is called on Facebook, whereby should I pass on, they've got access to then post things on my behalf on Facebook. I forgot what it's actually called. And therefore, it's a very important thing for that level of transparency and honesty happens. Those who are not prepared to do that, it's probably those that are actually dodgy and doing some stuff that they don't want people to know what's going on with their lives. And that's a subject for another day. Now, if I can just come back, Leander.
Yep.
What would be 2 questions that you would like to ask me.
Okay. I'll ask you them one by one, then we can, yeah.
That's fine.
Firstly, what do you think you could have done to prepare me better for life as a man planning for a family, life as a man planning for a family with kids in mind, or trying to sort out financial things in place? So what do you think you could have done there?
Okay. Must I answer now or answer
You
after
can
the
answer that
second
one. You
one?
can answer this one now, and then we'll go to the next one after.
Okay, good. Yeah. I think I could have spent more time with you on a one-on-one basis, go on holidays more, just the 2 of us, and go out there and just do those. Okay, I don't do fishing, but you just understand, like the fishing trips type thing.
Yeah.
And but at least we do play golf here and there.
Yeah.
And then that's enough time for us to talk. We must just play more golf and get to talk more, just the 2 of us. And I think with all the different curveballs that have come through, and I don't think that I have spent enough time having those quality conversations. It was more conversations talking about things, school, work, business, and those things. But that one-on-one, I personally don't feel that I've spent enough time to the level that I would have loved to do it. Yeah.
Okay. Appreciate that answer, yeah, because it's a thing of we need to talk to grow and to do things. Like you said earlier, is we a very close family. So constantly having these chats and everything is important to you and to me. We just don't make the time to have it. I think that's one of the main things as well that we kind of fall into is we make time for everything except planning for the end of the road, essentially. We have plans for medical aid. We have plans for, we're going to go to this holiday. Or we have plans for whatever things happening on Friday, but we don't have plans for the end of the road.
Yeah.
So I think having those conversations is great. Second thing I wanted to ask you, this one may be a bit deeper than the rest, but as a Black man in South Africa,
Yeah.
do you think that the fact that we don't have these kind of conversations is because we're scared that either one, we don't have the answers, or 2, we're afraid to sell the secrets or give away the secrets because we have this thing of, no, this is mine, my information, it's mine. And it's just that mindset that a lot of people have in South Africa is just, this is mine, I'm not going to share this thing. So do you think it's a thing of we don't know, or we're afraid to just give the information?
I wouldn't speak for other people. I would speak for me.
Okay.
And I don't think there's anything that is a secret. However, there is this thing called a responsible way of responding to some questions, because some answers may be given, you may give the right answer prematurely because the recipient may not be ready for that type of an answer. So it's more about communicating the right thing at the right time. Okay. So as Black men, to respond to your question directly, is we need to have more conversations and make more time, quality time. Because what I've actually seen, and that is why I'm very conscious on the amount of travel and the amount of work that I actually put in place, and to ensure that there's time that I set aside, is that we don't spend enough time. It's easier to send you money. It's easier to send you WhatsApps and, hey, what's up? And I'm checking on you and things like that. But to sit and chat and just sit and look at the sky and count the stars and see who's counted more, even if we may not get it right and whatever. We don't do enough of that. And then have quality conversations as to who are you dating and what's going on and how is that working out? Are the things that you feel that you are actually challenged about, etc. Those are the type of conversations that I think as men, especially Black men, we find them to be taboo. We find them to be things that you say, no, you can't talk to your children about those type of things. And the children are supposed to be seen and not heard. and those type of things. I think we need to talk more about that. And you remember when we were growing up, we'd even go on dates, let's just go and just have dinner.
Just for
But
vibes.
dress up, not just for the vibes and things like that, and we need to do more of those things, and also having to have like deep conversations about life, and genuinely, how can I support you in that particular way? Yeah. So I don't know if I've answered your question.
You have quite clearly. I think that's a good place to at least start, if I can say, is to just really have a conversation, because that's where everything really starts. That's how wars end. That's how people come together and create peace. So I mean, conversations is important. So I think starting there is going to be the best thing that we can actually do moving forward, and we can make jokes about it, but sparingly. Let's have a conversation, but let's be serious. And yeah.
Awesome stuff. And then is there anything that you feel that maybe I may have left out in terms of having shared or asked you questions, or maybe there's an additional question you want to take care of?
I think an additional thing, just like to say, like you said, we haven't had these chats about wills or what's going to happen after I die or after you die or whatever it may be. I think let's start with that conversation when we leave. Just be like, yeah, okay, let's start. Okay, Leander, here's the Google Drive thing where all the documents and things set and everything. And I'm like, okay, sharp, cool. First step done. Then things can go on and we can continue having this discussion and edit things later in terms of like, oh, this document, blah, 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 blah. So as long as we can start there, I think that will be the best thing from my perspective.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I hear you. So, ladies and gentlemen, all that he's saying is that he wants to be part of the communication as to where these documents are over and above the communication I've given to my wife and everything else, because you'll never know. Maybe both me and my wife could be the ones that are actually, anything can happen. But otherwise, I would like to hand over the podcast and the communication back to the host. And thank you so much for really having us and indulging us. And may you be blessed and have a good one. Thank you so much. God bless.
Thank you.
That's the first time we had father and son on the podcast.
Oh, fantastic.
So you guys embodied our vision.
Lovely.
Yeah, that was great. Caskey and Caskey.
There we go.
Together.
Caskey squared.
Come on now. Yeah. That's fire. Awesome. I think we can end it here. That was a brilliant question that your son asked you. And it just reminded me of how I asked my mom. And she keeps dodging the thing. So how do you help parents who keep dodging that conversation? Because I'm like, you're getting old. I need to know where the papers are.
Yeah.
And every time she's like, oh, ngizokutshela. And angangitsheli. So I'm like, how do we help parents to dodge this conversation?
When it actually comes to that, I think it's all about timing. If you ask that question after maybe 2 days ago you had a fight about something, he's gonna be like, this one is about to take me out. He's already planning stuff,
I'm not trying to kill you, Mom.
Yeah. I think it's all about timing.
Sure.
And making sure that we make each other feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And also, the nice thing and the beauty about it is the fact that financial institutions do have that ability for you to be able to inquire. Not obviously now whilst the person is alive, but you can actually call the different organizations. This every now and then, sometimes the question may not be where are the papers. The question may be, which one is your favorite insurance company? Okay, which ones do you trust more, etc., etc., etc. And then if they say, oh, no, it's Metropolitan and whatever, then you know the first one to call should anything happen is Metropolitan. Hi, Metropolitan, I'm so-and-so. This is the ID number, etc. Does this person have any investments or funeral cover or life covers and things like that? Metropolitan is then in a position to be able to then look in the system. Firstly, check, are you entitled to this information as a beneficiary?
Sure.
And then after that, if ever you are, after various checks and stuff like that, then they can help going forward. So let's not really, we're living now in a paperless environment. And that is why at Metropolitan, we handle most of the claims paperlessly. You don't even need to submit paper and documents and things like that, because we plugged onto Home Affairs, so we don't need proof that the person is really dead. We can plug in and check for ourselves.
Sure.
And do that. So it's a service that actually gets to be provided for our clients. So I would say the approach to that type of a question, let it not be a threatening question, but rather find sufficient information to get you started should anything go forward or happen. And also don't force it. You know, if you've asked once and you can see this person is going left, right, center and everything else, and then don't keep on pushing it, because then it starts giving vibes of motive.
Yeah.
You see.
Sure.
So rather find a
Definitely.
different way of asking the same question.
Yeah.
And if something comes out, then yes. If nothing, there's always other avenues of getting that. In South Africa, we have got billions and billions and billions of unclaimed benefits. And of people that actually did get cover, but they just did not claim.
Sure.
You know, and the same thing as investments that were made and people didn't come back to cash them up. And so every insurance company is obligated by the Financial Sector Conduct Authority in terms of the treat customers fairly process and making sure that we also uphold the responsibility that we have towards our customers to make sure that we disperse whatever those payments that are supposed to be. So it does not actually act in the interest of any insurer to keep that money.
Sure.
So those are the things that are actually there. So it's important that at least let's not add to the problem by keeping information. It's important that let's communicate about that information. But should communication not have sufficiently happened, just know that there's relief and there's ways around which you can still get to claim the benefits that are actually there.
How long do you guys keep the money for if it's unclaimed?
Forever.
Wow.
Yep. That's why it's billions.
I read somewhere it's like 80 billion or something.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money.
Bafethu
80 billion is around.
Nine mali ngaphandle. Hamba no claim kuni mali.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
I remember there was a time whereby I used to work for another organization. I think it was my second employer.
Yeah.
And you know, when you are young and you don't even think about your retirement, what, you just change jobs and you just move on and whatever. Some years ago, I got a call to say, "Hey, Chief, we're calling you from this institution and you've got money that is sitting with us." I was like, "Really?" You know?
But that's every man's dream.
Yes, but I think what I'm actually trying to say is that that's the good thing about the financial systems that we have in South Africa.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that we are responsible institutions who understand that we are not there just to say, "Hey, we hope he doesn't think about this or they don't know about it." No,
Sure.
we are in a business of paying claims.
Sure.
We're in a business of paying claims, not trying to find a reason not to pay. That is why at Metropolitan, we always say, let's find a reason why this claim must be paid. And that is why we don't have claim issues. And you can Google online and whatever and all that. When a claim is due and it's payable in line with the commitment that we have made, it's payable.
Sure.
Finish and clear.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's great. On that note, I know I said it was the last thing, but now you got my thoughts going again. There's many people who haven't updated their policies. And then they, had an ex-wife that was a beneficiary. And now they pass on and their ex-wife comes just to pay respects and then somehow finds out that, she's in the will or the policy. And now the family will say, "No, mthakathi lo uzifakile." Or she's working with the insurance company and she paid somebody who does fag. But meanwhile, the guy didn't update the thing. Any information on that to help guys wake up to that reality and help the family that thinks this poor woman is a witch? She's not a witch. Yeah. Okay, how could you help them?
Yeah, no, it's true. Firstly, it's important for us to actually note the fact that insurance is not about emotions and how we feel about things. It goes back to contract.
Sure.
And if ever we've contracted to your ex and you haven't told an insurance company to say, X is no longer a beneficiary. It's now Y. X remains the beneficiary. Doesn't matter how the family feels. X remains the beneficiary. But now to all the people out there, make sure that your things, they stay to be up to date.
Yeah.
Remember, a lot of families go through a spring cleaning in September. Just make sure that you don't do spring cleaning in your house alone.
Sure.
Do a financial spring clean.
Come on.
Update your documents at least once a year.
Sure.
Make sure that everything is 100% your address in your bank.
Yeah.
Is it still the current address or is it an old one?
Sure.
And your beneficiaries, the level of people that you have actually covered. Okay, who have you covered?
Yeah.
And some people may have moved out of your lives. You probably want to change to other people. Update that. So I would say spring clean your financial matters. And make sure that they're 100%. And it includes updating your records, making sure that your beneficiaries are the current beneficiaries, making sure that your will is updated. You know, you probably were living somewhere. Now you're now having accumulated more assets. You want to add them to the will.
Sure.
So that financial spring cleaning is very important. And therefore, I would say diarize it. Just put it in the diary.
Sure.
To say, I'm taking 2 days off from work. It's all about financial spring cleaning. And you just take care of those things. If it means you must go to a bank to do whatever, go to Home Affairs, and just get that done. It's a responsible thing that everybody must do at least once a year.
Sure. That's great. I think that's probably the perfect note to end it on. You know, it's winter and the thoughts of spring cleaning have just warmed my heart up because I'm thinking of the gospel songs that my mother would play while we spring cleaning.
Yeah, that's it.
so we're going to do that with our finances as well. Mr. Ndaba, thank you. Yeah, I truly appreciate this. Started off by saying how much of a beautiful man you are, outside and inside.
Awesome.
Totally
Thank
beautiful. Thank you for that.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for sharing your life and your son as well with us.
Thank you.
It is, we don't take that for granted.
Lovely.
And please thank the family as well.
Yep.
You know, you represent them. And so from us, they might not know us, but please tell them we said thank you. That they've, just been able to share their life through you as well with us. So thank you for that.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you.
There we go.
We fist bump.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Awesome stuff.
That's
Thank
great.
you so much.
Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We would definitely appreciate your thoughts, comments. I know some of you have just woken up to the reality that you're going to die. But it's true, right? If you're a husband, man, you need to take care of that stuff. And if you probably are feeling unsure, reach out to us and we'll connect you with the right people so that they can truly help you with setting up a will, setting up your policies and making sure that your family is taken care of, especially when you're not around. Let's not leave chaos. Right? Most of us wanted to get married so that we can change the narrative of the families that we come from. Let's change them thoroughly, even when we're dead, right? So please do leave your comments and let's chat. If you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe and hit the notification bell that you're updated on every single episode we drop. Every Wednesday at 11:30 from me and the team here. See you next week Wednesday, all right? Peace.